Heart to heart with Abba Gabba. Heart to heart with Abba Gabba. Hello and welcome to Heart with Abba Gabba, a podcast in honor of celebrating families and everything about children, beginning with us. Confidently, this will inspire and encourage us to listen, defend, and advocate for our infants, toddlers, preschoolers, school age children, teenagers, and all children from across the board to help us see the world from their perspectives and offer support throughout their stages of development. Celebrate! Heart to Heart with Abagaba is sponsored by Stop Smart, your one-stop destination for staffing and non-medical concierge services for adults, teens, and children. For more information, I encourage you to visit www.staff-smart.org and by phone 480-875-6871. You are listening to Heart with Abagaba with your host, Abby Dominguez. If you love children, the importance of helping them thrive as they grow and develop, this podcast is for you. Today, I am so excited to bring you a heart to heart with Jenny Hornby. She is a licensed professional counselor and children's book author, trained in EMDR and play therapy. She's passionate about bringing connection and compassion into our relationships with ourselves and others. Jenny, welcome to Heart with Abagaba. I am conversing with you from Mesa, Arizona. Please tell our listeners where we are connecting from and share a short bio.
Well, I am from Virginia and I'm so happy to be here. And I have lived in Virginia my whole life, really. And I've been working as a trained counselor for, oh my goodness, about 17 years now.
Nice.
And I love it. It's been a great job because I love kids and family.
Oh,
So I really enjoy the work that I do. And it just seems like right now, especially with so much mental health crisis happening,
yeah.
I'm just really thankful to be trained and in the field and ready while we're kind of dealing with a tidal wave, it feels like.
Yeah. Thank you so much again for coming on my visiting me today. I
Yes.
wanted to ask you, so how would you encourage parents to connect with their
Mm.
children?
Oh, and see, Abby, just that question just makes my heart happy.
Oh,
The idea of focusing on connection
yes,
is definitely the key. So right now, we all struggle with distractions, right? We have
yes,
a lot pulling our attention, trying to give us information, trying to get us to look at a different website or listen to a different thing or go here, go there. And connection really requires our full attention. And so I think trying as best we can to remove distractions.
yes.
I'll give you an example. When I come home from work, I leave my phone in my bedroom.
Love it.
I really try to keep as many distractions as I can put away and out of sight because
Out of-
even just having my phone in sight, it's like a magnet for me. I just want to check it or I just
Right.
hear a little buzz. And so carving out time for connection is key. And so that takes some preparation. You've got to kind of wrap things up so that you can be fully present and engaged for your family. So removing distractions is key and then preparation as much as you can.
I love that. And I'm wondering, this connection begins with infancy. Like I can imagine it begins with when they're little like we want to connect with
Mhm.
them throughout their lives, right? And I think it
Yes.
begins with when they're little children, when they're
Yeah.
babies.
Right. Yeah. And even in the womb, there's so much research now about the connection that a baby feels when they're inside their birth mother's
Oh,
stomach, you know? So the stress that we feel during pregnancy and our cortisol levels rising, it affects our kids. And not in a scary way, but just in a way that we need to be paying attention to how we are doing. We
Yeah.
tend to just think about the kids, but really it does come back to how can I care for myself well so I can be that available and regulated parent. So it really starts from the beginning. Both my children we adopted. And so, they experienced a lot of stress, during their development in their birth
Mhm.
mothers.
Yeah.
And and there's a lot of research that can create just difficulties with focus and difficulties with emotional regulation. And not that it can't be restored, it
Yeah.
absolutely can be, but
Hmm.
it just shows that there is an effect from the very beginning. So,
Yeah. Yeah. From the beginning, right? Thank you for sharing that. So, what have you found children are seeking most?
oh my goodness, Abby. Oh, I love your question. They want to be with you. I had a session.
Oh.
I know. We think they want the latest like VR or the latest video game or the latest outfit or the newest phone or I don't even know. But you are your child's greatest treasure. And
Oh.
I know it's so I think we just don't even realize it, right? I had a session recently and the parent was just struggling. They were like, I don't know how to get my child motivated. What do they want? What are they working for? What do they care about?
Hmm.
And the answer was they care about their relationship with you,
Oh.
and as we dove into that, we realized there'd been kind of a rupture in the relationship that had caused so much acting out and defiance. But then as there was that repair,
Yes.
it was like the child just kind of came back online and they were
Oh.
able to listen and be attentive because that anxiety from that ruptured relationship needed attention. Um,
Yeah.
so really and truly, you are their greatest treasure. You are who they will work the hardest with
Oh.
for, to connect with. And I
Hmm.
remember I worked in residential treatment for a long time, and we had these behavior charts, and kids would work for certain privileges, right?
Hmm.
Maybe having video game time or getting a special dessert or something
Hmm.
like that.
Hmm.
And parents were always so surprised that really the greatest prize for them was,
Oh.
20 minutes uninterrupted time with their parent.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we think it has to be something fancy or expensive,
Hmm.
but if we just kind of take our kids' lead on that and just
Yeah.
see what they're interested in. I think of you with your little ones, just sitting with them and just playing with what they're playing with, smiling at them.
Yes.
I call it the invisible hold, where we can sit with kids without saying anything, and we don't even have to be touching them, but we're
Yeah.
holding them in our
Hmm.
attention and in our
Hmm.
awareness,
Yeah.
and they look up at us and they smile and they see that we're with them. And it's really a beautiful process, and it really strengthens that attachment and connection with your child.
I love how you say it so beautifully. Like, I think that children are so pure. And for them to
Mhm.
want to be with us, that's huge. We should
Yeah.
be with them too.
Yes. I love that. That's so
Oh,
true. Yeah, and I don't know if you've read Dr. Becky has the book Good Inside that I really like, and she talks about that. She just talks about how kids they want to grow. They
mhm,
want to do their best. It's inside of them and innate in them to move towards their growing edge,
mhm,
and they need our love and support to do that. They don't need us to do it for them.
mhm. Yeah,
They don't need us to like criticize every little thing, and make sure they get it perfectly right. But our attention and our presence, is kind of like sunlight on a flower. It just gives them
oh,
what they need to grow. And we can't do it all day long, right? And that's
right,
okay.
right.
But if we can do like 20 minutes a day, it is very, very meaningful for our child. And especially
Oh,
like for you with twins,
yeah.
20 minutes with one and 20 minutes with another, trying to have that individual time a little bit um,
Mhm.
means a lot.
It does. It does mean a lot. So, what are helpful skills for families to
Mm.
learn?
I love it. Yeah. Um, I think, and I'm just thinking about my own family and then families I've worked with. Um, I think a big thing as parents or guardians or caregivers is that we first kind of notice and take time to reflect on how we are doing and how
Hmm.
our stress levels are.
Yes.
I think it's really easy for us to blame our kids, and it's really our stress, right? It's our
Yeah.
frustration.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that we hold each other accountable as
Yeah.
parents for that,
Yeah.
just not give each other an out. At our house, we try really hard not to yell.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's hard, but part of what we had to do is we had to, as parents, agree that we were not going to make excuses for our yelling
Mhm.
anymore. And we
Yeah.
were going to take responsibility for that as adults. And that was key for us. So I think noticing and paying attention to how we're doing as an adult is key.
It's key.
Um, and then, setting some guidelines for yourself in terms of what are the rules of our house? Are we allowed to yell? Are we
Hmm.
not allowed to yell? Are we allowed to walk outside when we're overwhelmed and take a minute and disconnect? Or are we not? Kind of
Hmm.
deciding like what are the parameters for our behavior in this house?
Yeah.
What's acceptable? Um, and then helping families, I think you have to be intentional.
Intentional. Yeah.
Yeah, kids love to connect. They really do. But they also pick up on our stress and they pick up on whether we're busy or not. So
Oh,
we have to
yeah.
be intentional,
We have
So
to.
something I like to do is encourage families to carve out some family time. And like I have older kids, so I have a 17-year-old and a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
So on Sunday night, we take turns each Sunday, and one person gets to pick a family activity. Um, and it's just whatever that person wants to do.
Yeah.
So maybe we want to drive around to go see Christmas lights. Maybe we want to take
Oh,
a walk. Maybe we want to play a board game. Maybe we want to watch a movie. Maybe we want to cook a meal together or go get ice cream.
yeah.
Uh, but it's a set thing that everybody knows not to schedule Sunday dinner. And I've
I
seen a
love
lot of
that.
other families do it. I kind of stole it from other families
I love it.
that I
I
saw.
love it.
And it's just practical, but we had um we had my nephew live with us when we were first married, and he had come from some rough situations. And we would just on Wednesday night
Hmm.
was we had dinner together and we watched a show and we just did it every Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And that was, gosh, 20 some years ago. And he still talks about that. He'll
Oh.
come over. Now he's grown and he's a dad. He'll come over and he'll snuggle like right in between us on the couch. And he was like, it's Wednesday night. Let's watch a show and have dinner. So, creating like carved out rituals that are centered around connection. And we really try to make it a time where it's just fun. It's
Yeah.
not like let's have this big heavy talk and let's address some big behavior.
Yeah.
It's really a time for just connecting and being in the same room and in the same space together.
The same
So
space.
carve it out, make it
Carve it
happen.
out. Make it happen.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I love how you said that if we don't regulate our feelings, children can sense that.
right,
I have
right.
noticed that in my life. Like sometimes if I put
Yeah.
the babies down for a nap and I'm thinking, oh, they're going to nap for at least an hour and I can do this or this or that. And then maybe half hour later, they wake up. And if I go and get them with the attitude like,
Oh,
ah,
so stressed,
really?
like
Only half
disappointed.
hour? You're disappointed. They
Yeah,
will sense that. But if I go in with a positive attitude, like, okay, I was hoping for an hour, but we get a half hour, that's
right.
okay, we'll take it. And then it's like my positive attitude will change me and them. So I
For
love
sure.
that you said that, like we're the stressors.
Yes.
Like if we
Yeah,
can regulate ourselves, then we
right,
can help them to regulate
right.
things as well.
Yeah. And regulated doesn't mean you're calm and happy all the time.
Right?
Regulated might mean you're frustrated, but like what you did, you noticed you were disappointed that you weren't getting a longer nap and you kind of put your arms around it and you were like, okay, I'm disappointed, but here we go. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And so I love that we can feel whatever we're feeling, but it doesn't have to take over. It doesn't have to be the driver. We get to stay the
Yeah.
driver as the mamas,
Right.
and
Right.
that emotion can maybe sit in the back seat and get a little
Hmm.
support. Um,
Uh-huh.
so I love that we're allowed to feel whatever we're feeling, and our
Yes.
kids are can notice, mommy's frustrated.
Yeah.
Um, I remember when mine were little, golly day, how old? They were like 3, and I was grumpy,
Hmm.
and I told my son, I said, "Mommy's grumpy," and
Oh.
and my son was like, "Is it my fault?" And I was like, "No,
Oh.
mommy's grumpy because of mommy, not because of you."
Oh.
And so just naming it ourselves, for our kids
Yeah.
is helpful too. And it's interesting how it actually, when we talk about connection, when we can demonstrate regulation with frustration or with sadness or
Hmm.
disappointment, it helps strengthen our attachment with our kids
It
because
does.
they recognize, oh, we can stay connected even when we're sad, even when we're
Right.
frustrated. That
Right.
connection is
Right.
still there. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Uh,
regulated doesn't mean calm and happy.
and I was gonna say that I love how you labeled the grumpy.
Yes.
That's teaching them a new word, new vocabulary, new meaning. It's just like I love the way you labeled feelings for them, that adults can have feelings as well.
Right.
We can we're not happy supporting all the time. We also get like those
For sure. We have bad
feelings.
days and rough
Yes.
days and yeah, cloudy days. Yeah, absolutely.
I was gonna
Um,
ask you, so I would like, okay, let's see. I have a question here and it just left my brain, but it's coming.
it'll come, I'm sure.
Oh, I was gonna ask you, so what are you hoping Made for This can provide for families?
Yes. So made for this is this story for elementary school kids,
Uh-huh.
and it's a mom otter with her baby otter. And the baby otter, he has to learn how to float on his back, and he's used to sleeping on his mom, and he has to learn how to
Oh,
float by himself. And it's
oh,
based on kind of an interaction my son and I had one time when he was wanting to swim and he was nervous, and kind
uh-huh.
of helping him overcome it. So we use these otters, and the mom actually shares about her own fears
Oh,
and how she learned to notice her fear and help her fear and comfort her fear.
oh,
And she teaches her son how to do it and helps
uh-huh.
him practice it. And
Oh,
it's just kind of like what we talked about. It's
yeah.
it's how I'm hoping it will kind of give this fun story
Hmm.
about a big feeling.
Yes.
Um, but the story's held with these otters, right? So it gives you
Uh-huh.
the distance, like, oh, I wasn't scared, the otter was scared. So
Yeah.
sometimes when it's in an animal, it's a little easier for kids to tolerate and talk
Oh,
about.
yes. Oh, yes.
So we can talk about the otter's fears, and we can talk about what the otter was going through, and start a whole discussion. And that's really what I'm hoping. I'm just hoping it brings families together to talk about big feelings, give permission for big feelings,
Yes.
and where do we put the big feelings.
Where do
So
we
in
put it?
made
Yeah.
right. So in made for this, it's this idea of seeing fear as a younger friend,
Hmm.
and so it's younger than us. It doesn't have the knowledge and experience. It hasn't kept up with what we know now. It's kind of
Oh,
younger, and it's reacting um, to keep us safe and trying to help us. So it's not trying to hurt us.
yeah.
Fear is on alert, if there's a danger. And that fear needs our help to reassure it and to comfort it and say, oh, no, we're okay. We can do this. We can do the hard things.
Yes.
And so it's just hopefully a playful way and a creative kind of way to have a conversation. And it's fun because on my website, there's coloring sheets you can print out of
Huh.
the otters. And
Oh,
so that can kind of add to the story, right?
yes.
You can color together, and there's like little thought bubbles for the otters, and what do you
Oh,
think the otter's thinking, and just starting building language around
yes.
it so that
Yes.
there's not shame, you know, um, and it doesn't seem so foreign because kids are living in this like emotional experience all the time,
Mhm.
and so trying
Mhm.
to help them name it and
Yes.
identify, oh, that's fear when that happens. That's what's happening.
Yes.
My
Yes.
heart's pounding and I'm feeling tight. I can't think. Oh, that's fear.
Right.
Um,
Right. I so love that. I love what you just shared. I remember I used to live in Philadelphia, PA, and then I wanted to move to Mesa, Arizona, and I was so scared of the unknown.
mm,
And I read a book. I forgot the title. It was like I think it was an opossum that was comfortable in a tree, would come out, eat, and then play dead, go back to sleep.
oh,
Was it an opossum or I forgot.
I
But
know the possums do that. I have to look. That sounds good. Okay.
so then the feelings of the book helped me. So one day it broke out of its routine and came out, and nothing happened. There was no
Mm,
fear of the outside world.
mm.
Everything was fine. And then he jumped into adventure or something like that. And when I read that children's book, I was like, I'm going to jump into adventure. And that's how I was able to
There
also,
you go.
yeah. So
Yes.
I love what you just
Yes.
described. It helped me as an adult. Like a
I
children's book
know.
helped me as an adult. So I can
And
see how.
that's what the moms are telling me when they read the story with their kids is they're like, it really helped me.
Yeah. Yes. I
And I
totally.
love that, I love that because we do need help. I don't feel like I got taught how to handle my emotions. I had to go
Mhm.
to school for that.
Yeah.
And so we do need, help as moms and dads and grandparents and just how to turn fear into an adventure, that we can step out of our comfort zone
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and make a story out of it, make it something
Yeah.
to talk about, whether we mess up or whether it goes well or not, we'll
Mhm.
have a good story.
We will definitely. It definitely resonates with me. Thank you so very much for sharing that. And I wanted to ask you, so what are some emotional regulation skills for
Mm,
children?
okay. Oh, I love that. So, I always try things out with kids.
Yeah.
I try to encourage them in like a playful way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when you introduce an idea with a kid, just try to be silly about it. Like, I wonder if
Yeah.
this will help. And I'll do things like, swing my arms back and forth, with
Uh-huh.
that sometimes fear or anger, you've got to move.
You're
I
right.
wonder if we swing around. Does that feel like that helps? Or maybe I wonder if we need to just let our anger out on that soccer ball. Let's
Hmm.
just go kick that ball really hard and just let
Yes.
all that anger just flow into the ball,
Yes.
Um, but I like to stay curious. Like,
Uh-huh.
I just love to use like I wonder or
I
maybe,
wonder. Yeah. Yeah.
and see what they find. Another one that I love, Abby, is called butterfly hug, and
Ooh.
you make like a X across your chest with your hands.
Uh-huh.
So your fingers are resting on your clavicle,
Oh.
and you just gently and softly and slowly just tap your clavicle.
Hmm.
And it's funny, I'm doing it now as I'm saying it to
I
you,
love it.
I
Thank
can
you.
feel myself just sort of like settle. So it's
Settle.
called a
Yeah.
butterfly hug.
Butterfly
Um,
hug. Yeah.
or you can do elephant stomps, where you stomp your feet,
Uh-huh.
uh, or gorilla thuds, where you know, thud at your chest.
Yeah.
Um, just, I love using physical things.
Hmm.
Some people might have different things they want to do. Some people might want to just go outside, change the scene, go in a different room.
Right.
That can help. I really don't like timeout. So I would encourage if a kid feels like they need to go somewhere else, um, try to stay near them. Not that you have to have a conversation, but just so that they know they don't have to be away from you.
Yeah.
Uh, because I feel like a lot of times what my understanding is that kids need a grown up to regulate with.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't really regulate by themselves.
Yes.
So if they need to move to another place, maybe just kind of have them near still,
Yes. Yes.
and I don't know, some kids are different. I have one kid that loves just if I could just scratch his back, he
Hmm.
would just be in heaven, you know. The
Oh,
other one would love it if I just sat next to him and was
uh-huh.
just quiet, you know,
Right.
or I just listened. So it's really getting to know your kid and just
Yeah.
exploring with them, like, this might help, and then do it with them. If you're doing the activity and asking them to do it, then participate.
Yes.
Don't just be like, you need
Yes.
to go take a deep breath.
Right.
um
Right.
and I had a client tell me this one, Abby. This is a fun one, like for littles, is you put up your fingers like you're can't say you're counting to five, and you
Uh-huh.
pretend like they're birthday candles, and
Oh.
you ask your child to blow it out, and
Oh.
but don't like blow the icing everywhere kind of thing. So it's like a
Right.
gentle breath.
Gentle. Right.
And then as they blow, you bring your finger down, like then you take
Oh,
out the
yeah.
candles. So, making it playful and involving, their body. Because sometimes our bodies need to speed up a little bit.
They
And
do.
sometimes our body needs to slow down. So is this a time that we maybe need to rock in the rocking chair,
Hmm.
rub your back, or is this a time we need to like kick a ball,
Uh-huh.
stomp, you know,
Yeah.
play some music, dance around, you know, um, and just giving them permission to explore their needs in that space.
I love it. And speaking of play, I want to ask, we may have touched on this. Why
Okay.
is fun and play so important?
Mm, play is some people in play therapy call it the language of children.
Oh,
That kids aren't going to always say to you, I had a hard day.
right, right.
Uh, and so the way to really connect with your child is by entering their play with them.
Yes,
Um, and I have found that to be true, with the work that I do. If I can let them just have the materials and play and create,
yes,
it gives them a place to express without having to find language.
yes,
So a big part of like our brain development is the area of our brain that holds images
yes.
is very close to the part of our brain where our emotions are held.
Okay.
And so play is, it's physical, your body's involved. There's images like maybe I have a little puppy or I have a little raccoon or I have a little possum, whatever I'm playing with. And so
Yeah,
I'm working in a visual space that is going to give it very close outlet with that emotional pathway that your brain needs.
yes.
Um, and so once I started to understand that, it helped me stop trying to make kids talk.
Right, right, right.
They don't need to be able to say a whole lot, you
Hmm.
know, but allowing, that play space to be expressed. And so, some kids it's going to be drawing images, drawing shapes,
Drawing
picking
images, yeah.
colors. Um, so yeah, play is just the way to a kid's heart. And and I think of when I play with somebody, like there's a vulnerability to that,
Yeah, yeah.
because you're opening up and you're sharing and you're letting them in. Um, so play is kind of it's a big deal. It's not just, oh, if I have a little time left in the day, I'll play. Like it really
Right,
is
right.
super duper
It's
important.
it is important. I would so agree with you on that one. I often hear the term children are resilient. Is it inborn or how
Yeah.
do we build resilience in children?
Mm. Oh my gosh, Abby, you are just so wise. I love these questions. So resiliency, Brene Brown has done a lot of research on resiliency and trying to understand where resiliency comes from. I would say, especially with kids, um, they are resilient. They really
Yeah,
are just amazing. Their
yeah,
minds are so flexible and their ability to heal and
yeah,
recover. Um, Part of what they need from us to be resilient
yeah,
is they need us to allow them to be frustrated.
yes. Okay.
So, one thing that is tricky, I think, it's hard for me, maybe I'll just say that,
Mhm.
and it seems like it's hard for a lot of parents, is we tend to see our child be frustrated and we
Yes.
jump in and
Hmm.
they're trying to learn how to tie their shoe and we, do it for them.
Yeah.
So one thing that will help build resilience is allowing them to be frustrated,
Yeah.
allowing them to feel that distress
Yeah.
and work at it.
Hmm.
Not that we don't help, you know, but wait till number one, they ask for it. And
Yes.
number two, when you bring help, do as little as possible. I saw an image recently and it showed a child's hand, and the parent's hand was under the child's hand. Like, I'm here to support you as you do,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
Right.
Um,
Right. I
so
love that. I
isn't
love
that
that.
good? I know, I love
I
that
love
picture
that.
too. And so building resiliency is going to be allowing for frustration, allowing for boredom, and giving them opportunities to problem solve on their own
Ooh.
without us just jumping in. And so we have to manage our own frustration and anxiety in those moments.
Yeah.
I remember when my kids were learning to go down the stairs, I could not stop picturing them breaking their heads wide open, and I was a mess,
It's hard not to.
I know my poor kids were like, I think I'm fine, you know. So that withdrew from their resilience, right? Because I was like at every second, you know what I mean?
I do that
Um,
too.
oh,
It's hard
I'm like,
not to.
it's so hard not to. And so again, we have to regulate ourselves, and notice that we're freaking out and help ourselves get settled. Um, and so allowing our kids to do some risky play,
Yeah.
that outside, where we're not, eyes on them, where we're giving them some space to
Yeah.
explore and to go and to move. I'm reading Anxious Generation right now, and he talks so much about that. Like, kids need to be allowed to problem solve
They
and
do.
assess
Yeah.
risks.
Yeah.
And the research shows that when we are not there as parents and they're out playing,
Hmm.
they are less risky
They're
because
less
they're having
risky.
to evaluate it themselves. When we're
Right.
there,
It's so
they're like, well,
true.
yeah, mom will stop me. Mom will make sure I don't do that. And so they shut down that part of their brain because they'll just let you manage it. So
Right.
it's
Right.
important, to let them have, of course, according to their age. I'm not saying let your kid go run in the street, you know,
Right.
but when they're old enough to understand the safety of things, and it's going to feel uncomfortable for us, and that's
Yeah.
kind of a good litmus test. If it feels like a stretch to you, it's probably where you need to be,
Right.
because we want them to be resilient, to come up on challenges as an adult and feel like I have what I need to figure this out. I
Right.
don't need to call mom. I don't need to call
Right.
dad.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
can, but I have it within me. Uh,
Hmm.
so yeah, just giving them opportunities to
Opportunity.
fail, opportunities to be bored, opportunities to be stressed, and letting them work through it. And uh it's just so important for them to work through it on their own and not just have us.
I love it. We all in this together.
I'm
Us and
serious.
them.
Yeah.
So, Jenny, I want to hear about your children's books.
Okay. Like so many people, I wrote it during COVID.
Uh-huh. Oh, nice.
Because I was so bored, Abby. There's nothing to
COVID
do.
was so hard. Good for you for writing a book. Good for
It
you.
was,
It was so
well,
hard.
I don't even know. I like to do watercolor. That's just a fun hobby. And so I've been painting otters. And so my story has these otters in it. And I've been painting these otters. It was a mom and a baby otter, and I'd given it to my neighbor, and I was just having so much fun with it. So
Oh,
I just started like making up this story about this mother and this son otter. And then I remember I went over to my best friend's house, and we sat outside, of course, and were, spread apart. And she helped me, turn it into a rhyme because I just was like, it has to rhyme. It has to have that fun rhythm to it.
uh-huh.
And so, we're sitting outside making it have that beautiful, Dr. Seuss feel to it.
Oh,
And it's been so fun. I'll tell you, like, I went to my kids' elementary school and I got to read it to the whole elementary school. And
oh,
it was probably like the top 10 moment for me in my
oh,
life because
I love
they
that.
they were so into it. I went around with a microphone. I asked them questions, and they were talking about the characters and what they were going through, and what helped them and what didn't. So I've been surprised because reading it to groups of kids, it really holds their attention and they're
It
really
does,
invested.
yeah. Mhm.
Um, And so I'm so happy for that, you know, because that's
Oh,
the true test, right? Is are the kids connecting with it?
yeah.
And they do seem to really love it. And so I'm hoping that it brings families together, and a lot of teachers are using it. They're reading it in their class. And
Nice.
occupational therapists are using it.
Ooh,
Um, because it's all about the fear we have when we try
here we
something new,
have, right,
right? With
right.
learning, with learning a skill, separation. It talks about, you know, the fears kids have with separating. And so it's been able to be helpful in a lot of different arenas, which I'm just so glad, you know, for them to have it. Because teachers especially, they're like, we need more of these.
Ah, we need more.
Yeah,
Sometimes we go through fear without even knowing. So in a book like yours, it just helps us make that connection. Oh, and then
right.
it's a breakthrough from there.
Absolutely.
So,
Yes, bring the awareness. Yeah. So
mm,
it's amazing to me. Like soon as we have those moments of awareness,
hmm,
oh, that's fear. Oh, that's what I'm feeling. We automatically kind of come back to ourselves.
we
You know,
do.
we're not so disconnected.
Yeah.
And that brings a lot of just strength and regulation, you know, just noticing and paying attention.
Hmm. It does. It really does. So where can we find your book?
It's everywhere. Yeah, it's anywhere you look for books. Just look, type in Made for This by Jenny Hornby. And I have a website, missjennybooks.com, and you can see like YouTube videos I have for kids and for
Uh,
parents.
uh-huh.
There's the coloring pages are there. So it's MS Jenny Hornby. msjennybooks.com. Um, and it's all over, so they can find the book anywhere books are sold.
I love it. Before the podcast, I found you on Instagram and I
Oh,
watched your
good.
video and the one about exploring the great outdoors, like
Oh, yeah.
having our brain. It's so they connect with me. I love the outdoors and I love what you just said. I wish I could play it while I'm telling it because you say it so well.
Oh,
So
good.
thank you so
Yeah,
very much.
I'm passionate about kids getting outside for sure, getting dirty. Go
Yeah,
get dirty.
it's the best. It's the best. Now we
Yeah,
all screen time is stealing our children's lives, seriously.
it
So,
is.
um, oh, Jenny, I want to thank you so very much for visiting us today on Heart to Heart with Abagaba. We have a minute and 27 seconds. Do you have any final thoughts for us? And again, can you share your website with us so we can follow the wonderful work that you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if parents are on this website and they're listening to you, they're doing something right. So that they're already, you know, engaged and being thoughtful. So that's huge. Yes. So if they just go to missjennybooks.com,
Uh-huh.
and it's
Uh-huh.
msjennybooks.com. Everything is there where you
Yes.
can get the book, the videos, the coloring sheets, any announcements. Because I'm working on a second book now about anger and conflict.
Nice.
Um, yeah, so there'll be lots more to come. And
Wonderful.
yeah, I mean, I can't wait to share them with you. So,
You'd have to come back when the second book comes out. I would love to have you.
oh yeah, that
And
would be awesome. I would love it too.
and
Thank you,
thank you.
Abby.
You're very welcome. Have a wonderful day, and we'll connect again soon.
Okay, sounds good.
Heart to Heart with Abagaba is also sponsored by Aspire Behavioral Health. They offer monitoring, counseling, medication, and personal care services in a beautiful residential setting. I encourage you to contact them at aspirecbh@outlook.com or call 480 875 6871. Please feel free to share this podcast with your friends, families, and loved ones. And if you would like to connect with me, the best place would be on my website, abigailedominguez.com, or on social media. You can follow me on Instagram at author underscore Abigail E underscore Dominguez. And we have a new YouTube channel at Heart to Heart with Abagaba. So please feel free to check us out also. And finally, I'd like to make a disclaimer that the stories and points of views we have shared on this podcast are personal and from our life and work experiences. We are not legal, medical, mental, or health advisors. Have an awesome day, and I look forward to connecting with you again on this platform. Be your light, be joyful, and as always, celebrate.